Welcome back to the Artefactors Union. It's been a while. I apologize for that. I've spent the past few months working on a module for the Bonanza Brawl game type that me and my podcast hosts have made, and we really are really proud of it, but it's taken up all my free time. But I'm finally getting back into it, so let's go ahead and start with something that is unnecessarily annoying. This is the Crime and Punishment box for the guard keyword. I believe back in 3rd edition the wardens were also augmented, but now they're just guards, so this is 100% accurate. Box contains 4 models. We've got 2 wardens and 2 executioners, them being individual artwork of each. I think this might be the other one, possibly. Anyways, that's the artwork renders on the back of the box. We've got robot guys with like chain fists and a cape for some reason. And then these chubby gentlemen with the stabby hands. And I am not looking forward to assembling them at all. Alright, now as our renders, let's look at the sprues. Each model is on their own individual sprue, which will be a little bit easier for us to organize them, but also just kind of shows you how many bits each of them has. It's quite a few bits for 4 models, sadly. So we've got one of our executioners, the one with the individual finger claws, and sprue bits in between them is going to be a pain to get rid of. And then our other executioner looks like it's slightly fewer bits as well, and doesn't have those really, really long breakable tubes. So I like this guy already. Then we have our warden with the big flowy cape. Nothing too small or complicated. And then our other warden without the big flowy cape, but looks like he has more bits anyways. Alright, we'll just go and do the order on the box. We'll go and start with the wardens, and they labeled their labels. So we'll go ahead and look at the instructions for Warden A, and then figure out our assembly order. Looks like that was instructions for both, but we will start by building out the entirety of the torso. So we'll grab this middle bit, and then we'll add the back and this plate that goes on the back, then the chest, followed by the head, and then we'll move on to the legs. So we'll add on this sort of pelvis type thing, then combine 2 halves of this leg, attach it, combine 2 halves of this leg and attach it. And then once we're done with that, we'll go and grab the part of the left arm, add the other half of it, and this extra little exhaust thing, possibly. And then we'll finish with the right arm, which will be these 3 pieces combined, attaching it to the shoulder. All right? Okay, so let's go ahead and start with grabbing this piece, followed by this piece and this piece. All right, here is our first torso bit. And he's got a bit of a hunch, so this is going to be the back and this is going to be the front. So let's start with the back and add that nice back piece with the oval-shaped connection point. Okay, here it is from the back and the front. Get a better angle on it. Now let's add that nice little back piece. And it kind of has a bit of a tapered part of it, and that's going to the bottom. Just going like that. Yeah. Okay, that's glued into place. Let's flip them over and add the other torso-y part that goes right there. Okay. Seams on the shoulders aren't too bad. Now let's add our head. I'm going to take up that entire space. Okay. Next, we're going to work on the pelvis and legs, so let's re-familiarize ourselves with the bits we need. This is going to be our pelvis. Looking at the instructions, the smooth side connection is the left leg, and the one with this circular connection point, tooth and groove, is going to be our right leg. So let's just do them in that order. Pelvis is going to fit right in there. Looks good. All right, now let's go and combine the 2 halves of the left leg. All right, now just be careful not to get any plastic cement on your fingers, but it wasn't too hard to get the seam to line up. Now let's add it to our Warden right here. Okay. One robo leg down. Now let's combine the two halves of the right leg. Alright, pretty good. Now let's just glue it onto this other leg stump. Alright, Warden's got two legs. Now let's work on the left arm. I'm gonna go ahead and grab this one with the fist, and this one without the fist, combine them, then add this extra little exhaust thing. Okay? Okay, arm part with the fist, and then we'll just cover up this entire part with that bit. There we go. Seam looks just fine, and then our extra exhaust pipe is going to go right in there. Doesn't really look like it has any sort of unique connection asymmetry, so I think just putting it in anyway will be just fine. And there we go. Now let's go ahead and attach this part right here to his little nubbin. There we go. The connection is slightly awkward. Just try and match it to the render, and then the seam that we are trying to get closed is right in there. So as long as there isn't a big gap, it should be good. Alright, let's grab the rest of our bits and put them together. We'll start with the chain part and then just go down the line. Sure. Okay, here's our claw, and it is going to be upright like this. So that first bit, the one that's in the middle, I guess, is going to go right in here, so the claw is more on top, and this sort of cylinder thing is more diagonal that way. Okay, cool. Now our last bit, just do the same thing on this side. Okay, now we just take this and we'll jam it onto this square. And there we be. Warden 1 is done. Let's put him on a base. Our first Warden is done. We're going to call this one Jimmy Johnston. Nothing on him was too terribly difficult. It was just a lot of bits. Well, honestly, too many bits for a model that is humanoid in shape. But I was the one who designed the sprue, and I know this is a relatively old sculpt, so older Malifaux sculpts tend to be a bit wonky. So the hardest part for him was probably that weird little extra exhaust thing coming out of the left fist. And that's me kind of stretching for it. Everything was relatively big, so that was the smallest bit. So we'll say that's the hardest part. But really, it's just getting through all 16 or so bits. You'll be fine. Let's move on. Our second Warden, Warden B or Warden 2, we will start by grabbing the body, and then we will just add the chest and head, followed by the the left foot right here, which is going to be attached to the left leg, which is a part of the body. And then we will grab the right leg, add the extra foot bit to it, and then attach it to the body. After that, we will do the left fist, this bit right here, followed by the right fist arm thing, add the claw onto it before we attach it to the body, and then we'll finish with the cape. Okay, so let's grab this piece, followed by this piece to start. There's the body piece, chest piece, and head is just going to go right on there. Yeah, like that. Glue it. Okay. That has been affixed. Looks like I might need to squish it just a little bit, but next we'll do the left foot. Going right here, remember it's the one that does not have any sort of tooth and groove thing going on. Alright, the foot is in place. Now let's grab the right leg and the right foot and attach them. Seam looks fine. Now let's grab this and attach it onto the body right there. Okay. Alright, just a few more bits left. Let's go ahead and add the fist part right here. Might do some more squishing just to close up those gaps, but this is a really old model, so these gaps are just going to be a little bit more noticeable than more recent stuff. Now, after I do that, let's go ahead and grab part of our claw hand and add the rest of the claw part that goes right in there. Okay, claw hand in, so let's take our little square peg and put it into the square hole of the arm. Sorry, that bit is up here, not down here. My bad. Okay, oops. Arm is pointed up this time instead of straight out. Now we just have the cape to do, which is going to go right back here. Camera, there we go. Alright, cape looks good. He looks very fancy, but now we can go ahead and put him on a base. Our second Warden is done. We're going to call this guy Sam Norton. Fewer bits, noticeably fewer bits than the first one. And this one's got a cool cape, so that probably does something for you, right? Nothing really of note. Pretty simple build and a more reasonable number of bits. And he looks cooler, I think. Alright, let's do the executioners now. Alright, on to our executioners, and I'm not terribly excited about this. So this is listed as Executioner 2 on the sprue, but it is listed as Executioner 1 in the instructions, and I feel like I'm just going to go with this one first because I don't want to do the other one more than this one. So I'm stalling. Alright, both these models are going to be unnecessarily complicated, so get ready for some pain. Hopefully I'll make it slightly easier for you, though. Okay, for this guy, we're going to go ahead and follow the instructions. We'll grab his back, combine the two halves of this canister, and then glue that to his back first. And then I would like to do both of his legs and his head before we move on to the arms. Then we'll grab this arm, then attach the tubing to it, which is... This will actually attach to it without any additional pieces to it, but this is going to attach to it and the bottom of the canister. And then we will add the other arm, figure out where this thing goes, and then at some point do the crotch flap. Honestly, I forgot about the crotch flap. I don't think it's going to be too much in the way regardless, so maybe we'll just do that after the legs. I'm rambling. Let's clip out these two pieces and then this third one after that, okay? Okay, here is the top. Yeah, the top of the canister, as in, like, this is the part that's not attached to his back. We're looking at the proper orientation, so let's do the other half of the canister right there. Okay. Seam looks good. Now you see that big old tooth there. That's going to slot into his shoulder. Right there. Okay, there it is on his shoulder. And now we can go ahead and get started on the rest of his body. Yeah, just for funsies, let's do his head first. You're going to want a good, sharp X-Acto knife for the flash on these beds, because otherwise you're not going to be able to get in there and clean his chin up without, like, sharing off part of the hood. Anyways, yeah, I'm going to do that, and then I'll attach the head. Okay, the head is attached. Seam looks fine. Now let's go ahead and pop out those legs. Left leg, right leg, and the crotch flap. We'll do those. Alright, here's the bottom of the torso. Let's do the left leg. Actually, no, let's do the right leg. Alright, now let's do the left leg. Okay. Might try and close that gap on the back, but we've got it. And I realize it's not actually a crotch flap, it's more of a bib. So we'll go and add that next. You can see where the strap ends. It's supposed to glue up there, and then we'll go in between the legs and curl forward towards the camera. Or I can probably just show you how that's going to fit. Something like that. There we go. And it sweeps nicely right by the left leg. Alright, let's go ahead and install the left arm, which is going to be the larger of the two arms. And, excuse me, go ahead and also align this pipe to that arm, which should attach on the back. Let me find exactly where that is. We're looking at the back of the arm. That pipe will fit right here in this groove. So go ahead and add that. Okay, might have used slightly too much plastic cement, but that's just a problem for my lungs. As you can see here, arm slots into the shoulder just fine. And the tube up here slots in where I said it would. Okay, next is going to be our dual tube bit. This guy right here. The part where it is more closely attached to each other, where I'm pointing, that is going to fit underneath the canister. And these two other tubes will fit right there. And so we're looking at the orientation you want it to be, like that. And I don't know if you noticed this up here, but it looks like a tube is supposed to fit in there. Nothing does. It is bamboozle. So go ahead and do that now. Best of luck. There we go. Some decent tweezers are very, very useful, but get these two parts to connect first and then just rotate the tubes until they connect at the bottom of the canister. Alright, let's add his other arm now. Alright, here's the arm. And as you can see, at least for me, my pipe is just sort of floating up in the air. So what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to glue it and just nudge it down until it sort of slots into the top of his glove. Kind of like that. Just so that it's sitting up against a flat part of the mechanics. Once I'm done there, I'll grab our last pipe, I'll connect it to our tube or whatever, I'll connect it to here, and that it is going to travel along here and glue roughly around there. There is a nice ridge on the connection point that goes here that will set it right up against the rim of the claw glove arm thing. Here is our bit. This is the part that connects the tube on top, and here is the part that will connect to his glove, and you can see the nice ridge that will just kind of go up against the rim. So I'm going to do those two steps, and then we'll see our end result. Okay, here's the tube after nudging it into a better spot. Now let's do the other tube. And chill. Our second tube. Alright, he's done. Let's put him on base. Our first executioner is done. We're going to name this guy Mr. Woods. Hardest part for him were the tubes. Not too much of a surprise there. Getting those things lined up and in place with a bunch of tweezers and making sure they're not knocked out of place was the majority of the difficulty and time spent on this model. Everything else was relatively simple, so if you decide not to do the tubes, you're going to have a much easier time with this model on the next one too. So they look nice, and unlike the other one, this one will have considerably less of a chance of them getting ripped out sometime in the future. So he's my favorite. Alright, let's do the other one. Okay, last executioner. Not terribly excited about him because we got little teeny tiny tubes and these relatively frail claws and whatever. So we're gonna kind of sort of follow the instructions, but we're not going to do these as like the second or third step. We're actually going to attach the backpack to the body and then do the arms as well as like the accessories on the arms. And then we'll do the tubes because I want there to be both connection points set up before I attach these to the body, because otherwise if they're just going to be hanging out there, they're going to be really easy to snag and break off. So our order: grab the torso, we'll do the backpack, we'll go ahead and add the left arm, the right arm, both of these things that are sort of screwed into the right arm, And then we'll do the tube for the left arm over here, the tube for the right arm. I think that's them. Then we'll go ahead and do the head, part of the hood, the weight, the legs, the pelvis, the hands on the pelvis, and both of the feet. Okay, so let's grab torso, backpack, followed by both the arms. Okay, the back of our torso, and our backpack's going to fit right in this hole with sort of exhaust tubes pointing upwards. Okay, backpack's in, seam looks fine. Now let's talk about cleaning up these claws. For the sprue in between each of them, you are going to want to cut them out and trim them before you remove the entire arm, because they're a little bit supported this way and less likely to snap. Definitely recommend extremely good nippers, and if you are afraid of your nippers not going to work, then I would just go for a X-Acto knife and just start gently sawing it out. It'll take a while, but at least you'll keep the claws intact. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now and show you what it looks like before I actually cut the arms out. Okay, not too bad. Took a lot of very cautious trimming, and I changed out my X-Acto blade for a brand new one so it would be noticeably sharper. Alright, now let's clip these out. We'll add our left arm and then our right arm. Okay, there's our left arm. One last piece of advice: when you're clipping it out, clip the claws off first before you do the rest of the bit. That'll lessen the chance of those getting broken. Alright, now let's go and do the right arm. Okay, right arm's done. Now, okay, I cannot tell an exact difference between these two, so I'm going to go ahead and clip this one out and do some dry fitting and figure out which side it goes on, the top or bottom, so give me a second. Alright, that ended up fitting nicely in the top of the arm, so I think we're good. I would suggest just dry fitting it, because I'm not sure if it can only go in one way. Alright, let's make sure that the other one can fit in the bottom of the arm. And the bottom one does seem to fit, so we are all good with that. Now, let's get to working on our tubes. For the left arm, it'll slot in down here at this part, wrap around, and then glue into the end of the arm right there. And then for the right arm, something very similar, going to connect right in there, loop around and connect into the back of the arm here. So let me double check and make sure I've got the right ones identified. All right, dang it. Bottom one is going to be our left arm. This top one is going to be our right arm. The part that connects into the backpack is right here. You'll notice this groove, and that will fit on the underside of the backpack. You can kind of see how this is semicircle shaped. So the tubing will connect inside here closer to the body, and then again wrap around to here. But we're talking about the left arm, so it's going to connect in here and wrap around to there. All right. I connected it to the backpack here first, and then gently guided this end to where it's supposed to go. All right, now let's do a similar thing with the right arm tube. All right, same exact situation, but these are done, and now I'm going to be terrified I'm going to snap them off for the rest of the build. All right, let's set him down gently. Next, we're going to go ahead and grab our bits of the head. So this is the head, and this is the extra part of the hood. We'll attach that first and then attach to the body. Here's the bottom of the head. And that extra swirly bit is going to glue right along here in this U shape, the thicker end over here, and the longer tapered end going this way. Okay, that's what it looks like on the bottom, but the more important thing is that you want to try and close this seam right along his neck as much as possible. Okay, we can plop this down on his torso. He is looking very much to his left, almost directly at the camera. Head's attached. Now let's go ahead and grab his pelvis, and actually, I have it here. We're going to go ahead and attach the hands. They are in fact his hands, fun fact, to his thighs, and I believe it is just left hand on the left side and right hand on the right side. So let's do the left hand first, followed by the right hand. Okay, there's left hand. Now do the right hand. Okay, there is the right hand. Now let's jam this on his torso. Alright, there is the booty. And before we do the feet, I realized I missed a bit. You can see right here, it is supposed to be the metallic part of the gauntlet thing. And that bit is this guy. So the part with the circle on it is going to be further up the arm, and this is going to be covering up the claw fingers. Okay, so add that next. Okay, we are down to our last two bits, our feet. Left foot and right foot, very different connection points. Should be able to figure out which is which. Let's do the left foot first. Now the right foot. Okie dokie. He's all done. Let's put him on a base. Our second executioner is done, and we're going to name him Mr. Catch. This was the hardest model in the box, and not really even close. Those tubes being a massive pain, as well as just trying to trim out the claws without snapping them, was quite difficult. Those are the biggest pain points, but I also didn't have a whole ton of fun trying to get the extra hood bit on. It really was just managing the claws and the tubes and those little plug things that go into the right arm. I forgot to mention those were also just a little bit of a pain because they're very tiny pieces, and I spent a good 10 minutes trying to find one of them in my carpet. Don't lose them. Alright, let's look at the whole box. The Crime and Punishment box is done, containing 2 Wardens and 2 Executioners. Lovely detailed models, but there is just an unnecessary amount of bits for 2 of them that don't really make sense for a humanoid model. And the pipes for both of the Executioners were also quite a massive pain. So the Wardens were noticeably easier, with the exception of the first one having way too many bits. Other than that, all the difficulty lie in the Executioners. And honestly, I don't think anyone's going to care too much if we don't even put the tubes in, especially on the second one. But if you do, this guide should be relatively helpful for you. Just be very, very cautious and try not to lose any of the smaller bits. But I have been your foreman, Douglas Scoundrels, helping you build a better Malifaux.